नमस्कार दोस्तों। मैं अपनी बुक कंटिन्यू कर रही हूँ, द डायरी ऑफ अ यंग गर्ल। ओके, आप लोग सब सुनिएगा ध्यान से। Wednesday, 10th March 1943. Dear Kitty, we had a short circuit last evening, and on top of that, the guns kept banging away all the time. I still have not got over my fear of everything connected with shooting and planes, and I creep into Daddy's bed nearly every night for comfort. I know it's very childish, but you don't know what it is like. The AA guns roar so loudly that you can't hear yourself speak. Mrs. Van Dan, the paralyzed, was nearly crying and said in a very timid little voice, "Oh, it is so unpleasant. Oh, they are shooting so hard," by which she really means, "I am so frightened." It did not seem nearly so bad by candlelight as in the dark. I was shivering just as if I had a temperature and begged Daddy to light the candle again. The light remained off suddenly. There was a burst of machine gun fire, and that is 10 times worse than guns. Mummy jumped out of bed and to annoy lit the candle. When he complained, her answer was firm. After all, Annie is not exactly a veteran soldier, and that was the end of it. Have I already told you about Mrs. Van Dan's other fears? I don't think so. If I am to keep you informed of all that happens in the secret annex, you must know about this too. One night, Mrs. Van Dan thought she heard burglars in the attic. She heard loud footsteps and was so frightened that she woke her husband just at that moment. The burglars disappeared, and the only sound that Mr. Van Dan could hear were the heartbeats of the frightened fatalist herself. Oh, Putty, Mr. Van Dan's nickname. They are sure to have taken the sausages and all our peas and beans and Peter. I wonder if he is still safely in bed. They certainly won't have stolen Peter. Listen, don't worry and let me go to sleep. But nothing came of that. Mrs. Van Dan was far too nervous to sleep another wink. A few nights after that, the whole Van Dan family was woken by ghostly sounds. Peter went up to the attic with a torch and scamper. What do you think it was running away? A swarm of enormous rats. When knew who the thieves were, we let Moshi sleep in the attic, and the uninvited guests did not come back again. At least not during the night. Peter went up to the loft a couple of evenings ago to fetch some old newspapers. He had to hold the trap door firmly to get down the steps. He put his hand down without looking and went tumbling down the ladder from the sudden shock and pain. Without knowing it, he had put his hand on a large rat and it had bitten him hard. By the time he reached us, as white as a sheet and with his knees knocking, the blood had soaked through his pajamas, and no wonder it is not very pleasant to stroke a large rat, and to get bitten into the bargain is really dreadful. Friday, 12 March 1943. Dear Kitty, may I introduce someone to you, Mama Frank, champion of youth, extra butter for the young, the problems of modern youth. Mummy defends youth in everything, and after a certain amount of she always gets her way. A bottle of preserved soul had gone bad. Gala dinner for Musti and Botch. You have not met Botch yet, although she was here before we went into hiding. She is a warehouse and office cat and keeps down the rats in the storerooms. Her odd political name requires an explanation. For some time, the firm had two cats, one for the warehouse and one for the attic. Now it occasionally happened that the two cats met and the result was always a terrific fight. The aggressor was always the warehouse cat, yet it was always the attic cat who managed to win, just like among nations. So the storehouse cat was named the German or Boche, and the attic cat the English or Tommy. Tommy was got rid of later. We are all entertained by Boch. When we go downstairs, we have eaten so many kidney beans and haricot beans that I can't bear the sight of them anymore. The mere thought of them makes me feel quite sick. Bread is no longer served in the evenings. Now Daddy has just said that he does not feel in a good mood. His eyes look so sad again. Poor soul. I can't drag myself away from a book called The Knock at the Door by the Brodier. The story of the family is exceptionally well written. Apart from that, it is about war, writers, the emancipation of women, and quite honestly, I am not awfully interested. Horribly air raids on Germany. Mr. Van Dan is in a bad mood. The cause cigarette shortage discussion over the question of whether we should or should not use our canned vegetables ended in our favor. I can't get into a single pair of shoes anymore except SKI boots, which are not much use about the house. A pair of rush sandals costing 6.50 florins lasted me just 1 week, after which they were out of action. Perhaps Mike will scrunch something under the counter. I must cut Daddy's hair. Per maintains that he will never have another barber after the war, as I do the job so well. If only I could. I did not snip his ears so often. Thursday, 18 March 1943. Dear Kitty, Turkey is in the way in the war. Great excitement, waiting in suspense for the news. Yours, Annie. Friday, 19 March 1943. Dear Kitty, and about later, joy was followed by disappointment. Turkey is not in the war, yet it was only a cabinet minister talking about them soon giving up their neutrality. A newspaper in the dam was crying Turkey on England's side. The newspapers were torn out of his hand. This is how the joyful news reached us too. 500 and 1000 guilders notes have been declared no longer valid. It is a trap for black marketers and such like, but even more for people who have got other kinds of black money and for people in hiding. If you wish to hand in a 1000 guilder note, you must be able to declare and prove exactly how you got it. They may still be used to pay taxes, but only until next week. Dussel has received an old-fashioned operated dentist drill. I expect he will soon give me a thorough check over the Führer. Aller Germanin has been talking to wardened soldiers. Listening into it was a pitiful. Question and answer went something like this. My name is Heinrich Skipped. Wounded where near Stalingrad. What kind of wound? 2 feet frozen off and a broken joint in the left arm. This is exactly what the frightful pepper show on the radio was like. The wounded seemed to be proud of their wounds. The more the better. One of them felt so moved at being able to shake hands with the Führer that as if he still had a hand that he could hardly get the words out of his mouth. आपको अगर मेरी ये बुक रीडिंग अच्छी लगती है तो मुझे कमेंट में ज़रूर बताइएगा, और मेरी रीडिंग आपको कैसी लगती है, मैं कैसा पढ़ती हूँ, आपको समझ में आता है कि नहीं, ये भी बताइएगा। और दूसरा, अगर आपको इस बुक को हिंदी में सुनना है तो उसके लिए भी मुझे कमेंट कीजिएगा कि मैं हिंदी में पढ़ूँ, तो मैं हिंदी में बुक पढ़ूँगी आपके लिए। बाकी आपको कैसी लगती है मुझे कमेंट में ज़रूर बताइएगा। आगे कंटिन्यू करते हैं। Thursday, 25th March 1943. Dear Kitty, yesterday Mummy, Daddy, Margot and I were sitting pleasantly together when suddenly Peter came in and whispered something in Daddy's cat. I heard something about a barrel fallen over in the warehouse and someone fumbling about at the door. Margot had beard it too, but when Daddy and Peter went off immediately, she tried to calm me down a bit because I was naturally as white as a sheet and very jittery. The three of us waited in suspense a minute or two later. Mrs. Van Daan came upstairs. She do being listening to the wireless in the private office. She told us that Piern had asked her to turn off the wireless and go softly upstairs. But you know what that like. If you want to be extra quiet, then each step of the old stairs creaked twice as loudly. 5 minutes later, Piern and Peter appeared again, white to the roots of their hair, and told us their experience. They had hidden themselves under the stairs and waited with no result at first, but suddenly, yes, I must tell you, they heard two loud bumps, just as if two doors were banged in here in the house. Pern was upstairs in one leap. Peter warned Dussel first, who finally landed upstairs with lots of fuss and noise. Then we all went up in stocking feet to the Vanden. On the next floor, Mr. Vanden had a bad cold and had already gone to bed, so we all drew up closely around his bed and whispered our suspicious to him each time. Mr. Van Dan coughed loudly. Mrs. Van Dan and I we were so scared that we thought we were going to have a fit. That went on until one of us got the bright idea of giving him some codeine, which soothed the cough at once. Again, we waited and waited, but we heard no more, and finally, we all came to the conclusion that the thieves had taken to their heels when they heard footsteps in the house, which was otherwise so silent. Now it was unfortunate that the wireless downstairs was still turned to England and that the chairs were nearly arranged round it. If the door had been forced and the air raid wardens had noticed and warned the police, then the result might have been very unpleasant. So Mr. Vanden got up and put on his coat and hat and followed Daddy consciously downstairs. Peter took up the rear armed with a large hammer in case of emergencies. The ladies upstairs, including Margot and me, waited in suspense until the gentleman recapped a few 5 minutes later and told us that all was quiet in the house. We arranged that we would not draw any water or pull the plug in the laboratory, but as the excitement had affected most of our tummies, you can imagine what the atmosphere was like when we had each paid a visit in succession. When something like that happens, heaps of other things seem to come at the same time. As now, number one was that the clock at the Western Trotten, which I always find so reassuring, did not strike. Number two was that Mr. Wozen, having left earlier than usual the previous evening, we did not even definitely whether Ellie had been able to get hold of the key and had perhaps forgotten to shut the door. It was still evening and we were still in a state of uncertainty. Although we certainly did feel a bit reassured by the fact that from about 8 o'clock when the burglar had alarmed the house until 10:30, we had not heard a sound. On further reflection, it also seemed very unlikely to us that a thief would have forced upon open a door so early in the morning while there were still people about in the street. Moreover, one of us got the idea that it was possible that the caretaker of the warehouse next door was still at work, since in the excitement and with the thin walls one can easily make a mistake, and what's more, one's imagination can play a big part at such critical moments. So we all went to bed, but none of us could get to sleep. Daddy, as well as Mummy and Mr. Diesel, were awake, and without much exaggeration, I can say that I hardly slept a wink. This morning, the men went downstairs to see whether the outside door was still shut, and everything turned out to be quite safe. We gave everyone a detailed description of the nerve wracking event. They all made fun of it, but it is easy to laugh at such things afterwards. Ellie was the only one who took us seriously. आपको मेरी बुक रीडिंग समझ में आ रही है ना, तो मुझे बताते जाइएगा, कमेंट प्लीज़ ज़रूर करिएगा। अब आ गए हम सैटरडे 27 मार्च 1943। डियर किटी, वी हैव फिनिश्ड आवर शॉर्ट हैंड कोर्स, नाउ वी आर बिगिनिंग टू प्रैक्टिस स्पीड। आर नॉट वी आर गेटिंग क्लेवर? आई मस्ट टेल यू मोर about my time killing subjects. I call them such because we have got nothing else to do but make the days go by as quickly as possible so that the end of our time here comes more quickly. I am mad on mythology and especially the gods of Greece and Rome. They think here that it is just a passing craze. They have never heard of an adolescent kid of my age being interested in mythology. Well, then I should be the first. I shall be the first. Mr. Vanden has a cold, or rather, he has a little tickle in his throat. He makes a tremendous fuss about it, gargling with chamomile tea, painting his throat with a tincture of myrrh, rubbing eucalyptus all over the chest, nose, teeth, and tongue, and then getting into an evil mood on top of it all. Rotter, one of the German big shots, has made a speech. All Jews must be out of the German occupied countries before July. Between April 1 and May, the province of Utrecht must be cleaned out as if the Jews were cockroaches between May and June. The provinces of North and South Holland, these wretched people are sent to filthy slaughterhouses like a herd of sick, neglected cattle. But I won't talk about it. I only get nightmares from such thoughts. One good little piece of news is that the German Department of the Labor Exchange has been set on fire by saboteurs. A few days after the registrar office went the same way. Men in German police uniforms gagged the guards and managed to destroy important papers. Thursday, 1st April 1943. Dear Kitty, I am really not April fooling, see the date, but the opposite today. I can easily quote the saying. एक second. I can easily quote the saying, misfortunes never come singly. To begin with, Mr. Kufias, the one who always cheers us up, has had hemorrhage of the stomach and has got to stay in bed for at least 3 weeks. Secondly, Ellie has flu. Thirdly, Mr. Wozen is going to the hospital next week. He has probably got an abdominal ulcer. And fourthly, some important business conferences, the main points of which Daddy had discussed in detail with Mr. Kufias, were due to be held, but now there is not time to explain everything thoroughly to Mr. Krapler. The gentleman who had been expected duly arrived even before they came. Daddy was trembling with anxiety as to how the talks would go. If only I could be there, if only I was downstairs, he cried. Why don't you go and lie with one ear pressed against the floor? Then you will be able to hear everything. Daddy's face cleared, and at 10:30 Yesterday morning, Margot and Pern, 2 years are better than one, took up their positions on the floor. The talks were not finished in the morning, but by the afternoon, Daddy was not in a fit state to continue the listening campaign. He was half paralyzed from remaining in so unusual and uncomfortable position. I took his place at 2:30 as soon as we heard voices in the passage. Margot kept me company. The talk at times was so long winded and boring that quite suddenly I fell asleep on the cold, hard linoleum floor. Margot did not dare to touch me for fear they might hear us, and talking was out of the question. I slept for a good half hour and then woke up with a shock, having forgotten every word of the important discussions. I luckily Margot had paid more attention. अब आ गए हम फ्राइडे 2 अप्रैल 1943. Dear Kitty, oh dear, I have got another terrible black mark against my name. I was lying in bed yesterday evening waiting for Daddy to come and say my prayers with me and wish me good night when Mummy came into my room, sat on my bed and asked very nicely, Annie, Daddy can't come yet. Shall I say your prayers with you tonight? No, Mummy, I answered. Mummy got up, paused up by my bed for a moment and walked slowly towards the door. Suddenly she turned around and with a distorted look on her face said, I don't want to be cross. Love cannot be forced. There were tears in her eyes as she left the room. I lay still in bed, feeling at once that I had been horrible to push her away so rudely, but I knew too that I could not have answered differently. It simply would not work. I felt sorry for Mummy, very, very sorry, because I had seen for the first time in my life that she minds my coldness. I saw the look of sorrow on her face when she spoke of love not being forced. It is hard to speak the truth, and yet it is the truth. She herself has pushed me away. Her tactless remarks and her crude jokes, which I don't find it at all funny, have now made me insensitive to any love from her side. Just as I shrink at her hard words, so did her heart when she realized that the love between us was gone. She cried half the night and hardly slept at all. Daddy does not look at me, and if he does for a second, then I read in his eyes the words, how can you be so unkind? How you can bring yourself to cause your mother such sorrow? They expect me to apologize, but this is something I can't apologize for because I spoke the truth and Mummy will have to know it sooner or later anyway. I seem and indeed am indifferent both to Mummy's tears and Daddy's looks because for the first time they are both aware of something which I have always felt. I can only feel sorry for Mummy, who has now had to discover that I have adopted her own attitude for myself. I remain silent and aloof, and I shall not shrink from the truth any longer because the longer it is put off, the more difficult it will be for them when they do hear it. Yes. अब आ गए हम ट्यूसडे 27 अप्रैल 1943. Dear Kitty, such quarrels that the whole house thunders. Mummy and I, the Van Dans and Daddy, Mummy and Mrs. Van Dan, everyone is angry with everyone else. Nice atmosphere, isn't it? Annie's usual list of falling has been brought out again and fully ventilated. Mr. Vossen is already in the Benegas hospital. Mr. Pufius is up again. The hemorrhage having stopped sooner than usual, he told us that the registrar's office received additional damage from the fire service, who instead of just quenching the flames, soaked the whole place in water. I am glad. The Cartloon Hotel is smashed to bit. two British planes loaded with increditory bombs fell right on top of the officerism. The whole vessel planned single comer is burned down. The air raids on German towns are growing in strength every day. We don't have a single quiet night. I have got dark rings under my eyes. From lack of sleep, our food is miserable. Dry bread and coffee substitute for breakfast, dinner, spinach or lettuce for a fortnight on, and potatoes 20 centimeters long and tasting sweet and rotten. Whoever want to follow a slimming course should stay in the secret annex. They complain bitterly upstairs, but we don't regard it as such as a tragedy. All the men who fought in 1940 or were mobilized have been called up to work for Der Fuhrer as prisoners of war. Suppose they are doing that as a precaution against invasion. Saturday, 1st May 1943. Dear Kitty, if I just think of how we live there, here, I usually come to the conclusion that it is a paradise compared with how other Jews who are not hiding must be living. Even so, later on, when everything is normal again, I shall be amazed to think that we who were so spike and span at home should have stunk to such a low level. By this I mean that our manners have declined. For instance, ever since we have been here, we have had one oilcloth on our table, which, owing is so much use, is not one of the cleanest. Admittedly, I often try to clean it with a dirty dishcloth, which is more whole than cloth. The table does not do us much credit either, in spite of hard scrubbing. The Van Dan have been sleeping on the same flannel sheet the whole winter. One can't wash it here because the soap powder we get on the ration is not sufficient, and besides it's not good enough. Daddy goes about in frayed trousers and his tie is beginning to show sign of wear too. Mummy's corset have split today and are too old to be repaired, while Margot goes about in a brassiere too small for her. Mummy and Margot have managed the whole winter with three vests between them, and mine are so small that they don't even reach my tummy. Certainly, these are all things which can be overcome. Still, I sometimes realize with a shock how are we now going about in worn out things, from my pants down to daddy's shaving brush. Ever going to get back to our previous standards? They were banging away so much last night that 4 times I gathered all my belongings together. Today I have packed a suitcase with the most necessary thing for an escape. But mummy quite rightly says, where will you escape to? The whole of Holland is being punished for the strikes which have been going on in many parts of the country. Therefore, a state of siege has been declared and everyone gets one butter coupon less. What naughty little children. आज के लिए बस इतना ही, बाकी मैं कल पढ़ूंगी। और आपको मेरी बुक कैसी लगती है, एनी फ्रैंक डायरी ऑफ अ यंग गर्ल, आपको अच्छी लगती है? आप मुझे कमेंट में ज़रूर बताइए। अगर आपको अच्छी लगती है तो मैं और अच्छे से पढ़ूंगी। और मुझे बताइएगा आपको मेरी रीडिंग समझ में आती है कि नहीं, ये भी बताइएगा। और बाकी आप मेरे शॉर्ट्स देखा करें। शॉर्ट्स अगर आपको मेरे अच्छे लगते हैं तो उन्हें लाइक किया करें और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें। चैनल जरूर सब्सक्राइब करें। ठीक, बाय बाय, गुड नाइट। मिलते हैं कल नए लेसन्स के साथ, एनी फ्रेंड की नए पेजेस के साथ। तब तक के लिए ओके, टाटा बाय बाय। ठीक है।